Hi, good morning. This is Camille. Welcome to my studio. This time together is all about going deeper and finding the beauty in every brushstroke and the beauty in every moment. So I've decided to start this kind of YouTube series documenting time in my studio and what goes on behind the scenes when I'm painting, just because I feel like so much of my creative momentum and like what I'm trying to do in my studio is very intentional, and very much a huge part of it happens behind the scenes and with my attitudes, my consciousness, and the way that I'm working directly with the paintings. And for me, that practice is so much about finding the beauty in every moment, finding the pleasure in painting, diving deeper into my practice of being really joyful and experiencing life through the lens of joy and gratitude and awe. For me, painting is so much an access point to understanding myself and practicing new ways of existing in the world. So I paint really loosely, I paint really freely, because I paint with really juicy colors and juicy brushstrokes, because that's what I'm trying to bring into my life more. That's how I want to live every moment, is just feeling into the pleasure of the moment and really diving into what my heart is telling me to do, what my spirit and soul is guiding me to do, and not thinking so much about getting everything right and everything perfect and being a good person and being hard and intense and fighting. I really want to flow with life and naturally bring my joy and my goodness to the world in a way that's pleasureful and the way that really touches people almost on accident. I think what a beautiful idea that we can just go about our lives living in our complete joy, and we can touch people by accident. And I feel that with my paintings. Before I was a painter, I wanted to be in psychology and I wanted to help people, and I worked in a group home with little children who had been diagnosed with many disorders, and my goal was to just help and sacrifice my life to help others. And I got so worn out by that and so burnt out, and I felt so unexcited every day when I would go into work. And then I realized how much I missed painting, and I started painting again. And I found that as I followed my own joy and my own bliss and my own true purpose, I started influencing more people than I ever had, trying really hard to be a helper. So that's a huge part of my practice and a huge part of the message I'm trying to bring through my actions and through my painting and through my work, is this message that we can just be in joy and follow our highest excitement, our bliss, our love, our heart, and that can naturally bleed beautifully into the lives of others and spill over. When our cup is full, then we just bubble over with joy, and that feeds everyone around us. So I'm going to be talking about different processes that I'm going through, different ways that I'm kind of breaking down who I am, getting rid of whatever blocks are inside of me so that I can live that more fully, and talking about kind of how it's moving through my artistic practice as well, how it's showing up in my paintings. And I'll be trying to do that as often as possible so that you can have more of an insider perspective into what it's like in my studio, and hopefully it'll start a really beautiful conversation. So if you have any thoughts or comments, please do share them, and I just want to connect with people and talk about what this practice is all about and what we're doing in the world, and find other amazing people who are also living from a place of joy and excitement, and really tuning into what their heart truly longs for. So this is the piece I'm working on right now, and a huge part of my process is just seeing what magical components emerge, not like trying to control everything, letting drips be like a surprise, and splatters kind of like leaving them in places where I wouldn't have expected to, and letting the actual paints and the materials that I'm using collaborate with me basically to create this relationship where I'm being surprised by them. And so one of the things in this piece that was really interesting is I kind of like had this desire starting out to use a different color palette, and I always work in pinks and blues and greens, so I was like, well, I'll try something else and like we'll see if it happens. And instantly, like I was so drawn to like bright pinks, which is what I was trying to avoid. And I just thought that was fascinating because I think that inherently we each have these unique color combinations that delight us. And so usually what comes through is ends up being like similar over time. If we continue to paint, like we find this sort of voice where we like know what our colors are, we know what colors we like are drawn to, what we find juicy and exciting and kind of delighting. And so here is a perfect example of this piece where I was trying so hard to do something more like earthy and raw, and truly like that's just not who I am. Like these flicks and the like orange, like the pink and the drips of blue, that is so inherent within me that it's like even when I try, it's so hard for me to create something different. So yeah, just coming into like rapport with my own color palette, even though there's other people's palettes that I see and I'm like, oh, I think that's amazing, I really want that. But accepting who I am and appreciating who I am and the colors that I choose, and just allowing that, allowing whatever is emerging to emerge on the canvas, not judging it, and just having fun and allowing myself to really truly not overthink it and just be drawn to what I love, which is these juicy pinks and blues. Okay, so I've come to the end of my painting session today. I'm hitting this part, which is always really challenging for me. So I've just went over the piece I'm starting to do oils. So I can't go back to acrylics now, and I love acrylics and I love the like magic that happens with them. And so this part is really interesting for me because I hate those moments when you accidentally cover up something you love, but they inevitably happen. And so for me, this part of the process is about like, again, like letting go even more and like allowing whatever happens to happen, even when I feel like it's a bad thing or like it was a mistake or like, oh no, take it back. And you can't take it back because it's there. And so it's this really interesting process at this point, at this stage in the journey of like holding on and like appreciating the beautiful parts and like not covering them up, not working over them, but also like allowing this like higher knowledge that like I am the channel for whatever is going to happen. It's not my job. All I have to do is show up. And so allowing when I see like, oh, I think that's a mistake, and like my mind goes to like that must have been a mistake, dropping back in and being like, everything is working out perfectly. Source is flowing through me, and this painting is going to turn out exactly the way it's meant to turn out. So that's kind of like the process I'm working on right now, and I really appreciate you tuning in and watching this. And please like and subscribe if you feel called to do so. And the reason I'm doing this is really to like have more of a conversation with others about the art process and to share my experience more deeply. So if there's anything you want to comment, please do so. I really look forward to hearing your thoughts. Okay, have a great day.